My heartfelt thanks for the TDC, Hong Kong TDC, and also for the organizer for the forum to afford me with this opportunity to share some of my thoughts and experience about the globalization or the moving into global markets of China Mobile, and some experiences in Hong Kong as well. Dr. Wong has gave you a macro view talking about the new normal after the 19th CPC and some of the macro directions and policies of the country. Now, I'd like to talk about, in particular, the telecommunication industry. Now, China Mobile, you may know well already. China Mobile, the group company, was established in year 2000. Actually, in the USA and in New York and Hong Kong, it was listed in 1997. Now, as of now, China Mobile has the largest telecommunication network in the world, with 3.23 million of base stations, of which 1.7 million is 4G, and there are already 878 million users, and 4G users 622 million. As you can see, the number of people using it and the scale and size of the networks are huge. Now, the strategy of the company is to gradually turn from mainland-based to overseas expansion. Now, this is in line with what Dr. Wan has covered just now. We are in line with the Belt and Road going abroad strategy of the nation. You may well know that after Second World War, USA was the largest economy of the world. The leaders of the world. Its economy also expanded from domestic USA to international. The AT&T and other companies are very well known as the telecommunication leaders in that field, and it is also an example of following the main trend and going abroad. As we can see, in the 80s and in the 90s, when the Japanese economy was at its peak, NTT, the telecommunication company of Japan, also follows suit, a similar trend. They turned from a domestic company into an international conglomerate. Now, this is a trend, as you can tell. As you can see, China is now the second largest economy in the world. China enterprises, remain weak at the beginning of opening and reform. Mainly, it was foreign investment into China. However, after 3 decades, China has become stronger, as we all know, and the development, meaning, and after these industries have become stronger and stronger, they would be moving abroad. Now, this means that telecommunication, does not only serve mainland domestic market, it is also an excellent opportunity for us to serve the world. And we have actually made some trials and pilots in 2005. You may know that at that time we acquired People's, a local Hong Kong company, and in 2007 we acquired a Pakistan company called Simpark. In 2014, we also purchased stakes of True Corp from Thailand. Now, this is ways of our expansion. Now, the international China Mobile International was established in 2011, and it's headquartered in Hong Kong. Now, as of now, China Mobile, started from Hong Kong. We now have over 20 organizations or entities in the world. Every year, we are having new ones. We're adding on to our subsidiaries and expanding our overseas presence, including CMHK and SimPark. As you may see, our going abroad has been done very prudently. The first step started from Hong Kong. Through Hong Kong, we learned what the international ways were, and we sought deep understanding. Now, CMI, China Mobile International Limited, when it was set up, we had been supported by the CMI, with a lot of good caliber people. So we had been very careful. Now, the next step, since our establishment for the last 5 to 6 years, we're taking gradual steps to expand our business globally. Now, why was it that we had chosen Hong Kong at that time? This was a decision after deliberation of the management. Number one is that we believe that Hong Kong has strength in its talent pool. Hong Kong has, comparatively speaking, better business environment, and therefore it is good in attracting international talents. And there are also talents from Hong Kong itself. So China enterprises, in order to move abroad, it desperately needs international talents. So Hong Kong is a very good base for us to secure this. Therefore, this is the first consideration that we had. Secondly is that we believe that Hong Kong has a very good geographical advantage. It has an excellent infrastructure and transportation hub. And it also leans against the mainland hinterland. It has a lot of ease and advantage in communicating with China. So we believe that with the international entity, based in Hong Kong, it would be very easy for us to communicate with headquarters back in Beijing. So this was our second consideration. And thirdly, we also considered the low tax rate for Hong Kong. It is well known, in the world, and the tax regimes and customs regimes in Hong Kong is relatively simple, and this became a very important factor for us to decide to set up in Hong Kong. And lastly, we believe that Hong Kong has a very comprehensive legal system. It practices the rule of law, and this is the spirit in the commercial practices. So to have a good legal system is very helpful to the development of businesses. So these are the considerations that we had at that time to put our base in Hong Kong when we conduct international development. Now, as you can see, when we moved this first step, we acquired People's. We now call it China Mobile Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, I think it has already a 20 years of experience providing services for the last 2 decades. It actually was able to grow within Hong Kong. It has 3.6 million mobile users, and its base stations numbered to exceeding 3,000. One might say that China Mobile, while it was able to grow locally, it also provided taxes as well as employment opportunities to the local people. And it also helped us prepare for our integration, for our upgrading from 3G to 4G at that time. And while servicing the society, we also contributed to the society, including being a good corporate citizen and also providing cross-border services to local enterprise and individuals and brought them a great deal of convenience. Now, these are our local development. Now, for our group, of course, the bigger target, the bigger goal is international development. Now, China Mobile International had been set up in Hong Kong for 6 years, and we are soon celebrating our 7th year anniversary. Now, in Hong Kong, we were the first one setting up a data center in Hong Kong, in Tseung Kwan O in Hong Kong. We had our own data center. And it is also the management center for all the submarine cables. We actually launched several submarine cables using this space, and it involved a 800 million investment. And this actually connects Northern Asia with Southeast Asia, which provides an excellent base for enhancement of our communication capabilities. Now, at the same time, apart from building a data center in Hong Kong, as you may know, this concept has already changed. It's no longer like the traditional concept of building a data center, building and then lease out the capacities to companies and to customers and collect rent. No, it's no longer like this. No, data center is now a hub for all the data flow. Now, for us, apart from Hong Kong, we are also active in Singapore, London, Frankfurt, and Silicon Valley in the United States. And we are also building a cloud data center there in order to form the data flow that would converge on the internet in order to serve big data development. This is what China Mobile International is working on right now, and it is supposed to cover the entire world. Now, this type of endeavors are in line with the strategic policy and plan of the mother company. In 2015, China Mobile had set up a 2020 big connection strategy. At that time, the target was to double the capacity by 2020. At that time, in 2015, we were at 800 million approximately. By 2020, our target was to reach 1.7 billion. This is a number that also includes 120 million home users and 500 million of internet users. Now, as of now, the latest data I'd like to report to you is that our mobile users has now reached 880 million. Our home users by end of September has already reached 200 million. Now, in last week's global partnership meeting, our chairman has already announced a target to reach 130 million next year. Now, internet users is 240 million. So it is highly possible that we would reach this 2020 target. Now, the big connection strategy is built based on a total connection through various types of technology like the 2G, 3G, and 4G technologies. And of course, the next step is 5G and the very critical narrow band, NB-IoT, narrow band internet bandwidth. And more technologies are smart technologies these days, including the IoT, cloud computing, big data, including enterprise solutions. Now, these would be key components of our big connection strategy. Now, this would of course rely on the security of the data and of the internet, and for various users and enterprises, this would bring contribution. This is the target that we need to work on to realize as a next step. And what we would be challenged as a next step in our ability to manage our resource and to integrate data. The data would come from many different sources like TVs, computers, the wearable devices, transportation systems, anything and everything. All of these, anything can be accessed. But more so, we have to build a pan connection. This means that all types of connections can ultimately be brought into our cloud services as an integrated services, that would serve various types of industries, manufacturing, products, retailing, servicing, finance, entertainment, etc. Our goal is to support all of these cloud activities. Now, Hong Kong is building itself as a smart city, and there are a lot of different industries that would be in the smart city horizon. All of them would require connection and communication, including smart management of lighting systems, etc. In mainland, there are a lot of pilot programs which are very successful and can be moved to Hong Kong or maybe the rest of the world and be copied and applied. So what I'd like to point out is that we had already cooperated with many banks and corporations, and many of these are successful experiences. And there are also a lot of challenges that we faced. The applications are for entirely new industries, which require all of us working together. Communication industry itself is to connect people, is to provide the basis, the basic support. But the application would require, as far as a successful application is concerned, it would require the cooperation of the different industries and to manage it well. So for us, we face the market. For China Mobile, one would be the individuals users, and to be able to provide all of them with high quality mobile service. Now for corporations, we can provide more services with the mobile features. Now with amongst operators, we would have a lot of synergies and cooperation to build total connection and full connectivity. This is also a target that we would work on as a next step. And also like to share with you about our continued dedication to work with corporation and the government so that hand in hand we can move into a new era. Thank you very much.